Please be seated. The court is now back in session, and I'd like to give the floor to the defense team for inquiry to continue putting questions to this witness. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon again to everyone. Sir, I now want to focus to a topic that has been discussed quite a bit, but I'll keep it brief, and this is your understanding of Committee 870. And so I'm going to begin by referring you to your statement of E3/64. This would have been your first statement. I'm looking at, in English it would be page 7. Khmer, it's 00328028029. French, 00411697-98. And then English, it's 00334048. And here, part of your answer, you say, towards the end of your answer, you say, next step, they were sent to the typist group, and then sent to the standing committee, and in parentheses, we see Committee 870. After that, Pon and Te annotated on the telegrams whom these telegrams would be sent to. So here you state that Committee 870 is a standing committee. Now if you go to page 13 in the same statement, a few pages further down, in Khmer it's 00328035-37. French it's 00411703-04. And English 00334054. Here you're asked the question, was it always sent to all the standing committee members, or was it just sent to this or that person, but not all? Mostly it was sent to Committee 870, but in some cases it was not sent to all of the standing committee members. It was only sent to the relevant persons who were responsible for making a response. Question: what did, quote, to Committee 870, unquote, mean, and whom did that refer to? Answer: it referred to the entire Central Committee. Let's stop here. In one statement, you say that the standing committee is Committee 870, and then later on you say it is the Central Committee. Were you guessing, or were you presuming when you made these statements, or was this based on actual knowledge?
The statement that I made was based on my experience in seeing a number of telegrams. Some telegrams would address to 870 committee or Onka 870. And as to my presumption of that committee is of an uncertain nature, as I am myself not 100% sure. Most of the telegrams addressed to 870 committee. For instance, you can refer to telegram number 236, which addressed to 870 committee.
Let me stop you because I want you to answer my questions. And perhaps something is being missed in translation. On one page of your statement, you say that Committee 870 is a standing committee. A few pages later, in the same statement, which you signed as being true, accurate, and complete, you say that Committee 870 is a central committee. Which of the two is it? We have two different versions. Did you actually know when you made that statement?
I am more certain on the word center.
I want you to answer my question, please, sir. We have Central Committee and Standing Committee.
The prosecution, you may proceed. Counsel, please hold on, and witness, please wait.
Your Honours, repeatedly, my learned friend asks a question, the witness attempts to provide a response. When the response is not satisfactory to my friend, he interrupts, and I might say quite abruptly. I would invite the chamber to direct my learned friend to lower his tone, to treat the witness with the respect that he deserves, and to stop interrupting him and allow him to answer the questions he's being asked.
Mr. President.
President, counsel, please do not interrupt the witness. Let or allow the witness to respond to your question, as he may have explanations to make in his response on various aspects, and we have observed that repeatedly. We are of the concern that if you keep interrupting him, the witness might not be willing to respond anymore.
Mr. President, I was trying to be mindful of the time so he would not have to come back next week. Let me go back and ask the question again. On page 7, in English at least, on one page, you say that Committee 870 is the standing committee. The standing committee. Nothing about party there. A few pages later, you say that Committee 870 is the central committee. Let me ask you this. Do you know whether there is a difference between a standing committee and a central committee? Let's start with that.
Yes, there is a difference.
The difference in your answer.
Yes, there is a difference. In the bracket, it states the standing committee, and the other one is referred to the central committee.
Now, when this statement was read to you, and you signed it as being truthful and accurate, can you please tell us whether at the time when you did so, this was a mere oversight,
President Council, could you repeat again, as the Khmer interpretation is difficult to understand?
Very well. Now we know when you finished with your interview and they came back 5 weeks later, they read the interview back to you, and then you signed it without making these corrections at least. You've told us that there is a difference between the Standing Committee and the Central Committee. And so my question now is, was this a mere oversight on your part when you indicated that Committee 870 is both the Standing Committee and the Central Committee? Or did you not know at the time?
It was an oversight, as I did not pay attention to it when it comes to the Standing Committee and the Central Committee. However, the messages did not distinguish the difference between the Standing Committee or the Central Committee, as it addressed to 870 committee and copied to Uncle Noon, Uncle Want, and Brother Q. So I concluded that it did not refer to all members of the Central Committee. It would mean it referred to the Standing Committee.
All right. So your understanding right now, today, is that Committee 870 is the Standing Committee, and it is not. It is not the Central Committee. That's your testimony today.
Yes, that is correct. Let me confirm that the 870 committee referred to the Standing Committee.
All right. Now, you also indicated in your testimony that some of these terms were used interchangeably as far as Committee 870, Office 870, 870, and this can be found on the transcript of 4 September 2012. And let's see what you said on that day. Khmer 00844493, French, page 60 to 61, English, page 55. You say, I am not really sure concerning the term committee. That's why I stated as what I am not sure. Sometimes I read Committee 870, or sometimes Office 870. Sometimes there are only noted 870 alone, without committee or office. And this makes it difficult for me to be more precise because the terms are interchangeably used, and it is difficult to recognize it which is which. I take it you stand by that answer of yours.
Yes, I stand by that statement.
And then, on September 3, 2009, there was a question posed to you, and I'm going to refer you to page Khmer 00844223, French, page 69, English, page 69, where you begin with M, as you already read. It refers to office. It is correct. 870 is similar to Office 870. It refers to the Central Committee. Even the term Anka 870 is always interchangeably used to refer to M870 or to Office 870 or to just 870, which was then the center. Questioned by the prosecutor. So, do I understand correctly that all those various designations, ANCA, 870, M870, are all references to the Central Committee as you understood it? Answer, that's my understanding, yes. Do you recall being posed that question and giving that answer?
Yes, I refer to the center. So long as it bears the code number 870, it refers to the center.
Okay, well, let me make sure that nothing is being lost in translation. You told us that Committee 870, for sure, based on your understanding then, was the Standing Committee. Now, I'm showing you part of your testimony where you're mentioning 870 in various different contexts, which you acknowledged that it was used interchangeably. And here you're saying that this referred to the Central Committee. Are you making a distinction between 870 and Committee 870? Given that you've already indicated that you could not really understand which was which at the time.
But
I am not sure the distinction between the committee and the ANCA. I did not. But what I know for sure was Office 870. Whenever they talk about 870, they refer to it as the center. And 870, that's what I was quite sure of.
Right. But I'm trying to make sure that you answer my question. Because I'm trying to establish whether you are guessing, whether you are assuming or presuming that Committee 870 is the Standing Committee or the Central Committee. And it appears that you today don't really know. Would that be a fair assessment of what we're hearing from you?
I am not sure because I was not certain and I did not know. But what I knew for sure was that 870 was referred to as the center.
Thank you. All right. Now, if we move along to what one witness told us, his name is Professor David Chandler, and of course, his name came up in one of the objections by the prosecution, who reminded us that he was well studied in Cambodian history, particularly this period. If we look at what Mr. Chandler told us, and I'm referring to his testimony of 24 July 2012, Khmer page 00826644-45, French 00828607-08, English 00828755. And here a question is being posed to him, and I'll read the relevant part. And you gave us an explanation, and at one point in your testimony you said that Pol Pot was also referred to as 870, quote, 870, unquote. The answer, yes, again, I don't like to quibble, but I don't think he was considered Azanka. I think his code name was 870. Then, later on page 70 in English, or in Khmer it would be 00826664-65, French 00828637-38, and then English 00828785. He then again states, in part, I had certainly known, and I have testified on this point several times with no reference to the closing order, that 870 was a code name for Pol Pot. This is well known throughout my research, and I've written about it. Now here's my question. Would you like to provide us with an opinion whether Mr. Chandler, concerning Mr. Chandler's analysis as a historian, that 870 referred to Pol Pot, at least at times?
The President, witness, please hold on. The prosecutor, you may proceed.
Your Honours, we would object to this question. The witness was asked about his understanding of the facts. He's given his answers. He's been asked the question over and over again. It is not appropriate for him to be asked to opine on the opinions of experts. It adds nothing to the inquiry. He's already told us what his understanding was, and that's where the inquiry should end.
I'll rephrase, Mr. President. Was Pol Pot ever referred to or known as 870, to your knowledge at the time?
To my knowledge, for Pol Pot, he was never addressed as Brother 870. So 870 was never ever referred to any particular individual. They addressed him by the code name Brother Pol or Brother number 1, and that referred to Pol Pot.
To your knowledge, 870 never meant Pol Pot. To your knowledge.
Ban.
Office 870 was not referred to as Pol Pot either.
All right. Sir, I never said anything about Office 870. I'm referring to 870. To your understanding, Pol Pot was never referred to or understood to be 870.
No, he was never referred to as 870. 870 was the code name used for the entity. It was not meant for individual. It was not referred to individual person.
Thank you. Now, I'm on my last topic. So I want to go to your statement. And it'll be page 6, the E3/64. Khmer 0032 8039-40, French 00411707, English 00334057. And I'm going to ask you a question which concerns a telegram that was shown to you, telegram number 15, which is also E3/1679, though we need not look at the telegram itself. But I just want to look at the question and the answer. And the question is this. In this telegram, there is a request for an opinion. Did the receiver of this telegram have to respond to this request? This was asked, the investigators asked this of you, and this is your answer. With certain problems, if Pol Pot was able to solve them, he would respond right away. But with some ungraspable problems which require the whole committee to solve them, Pol Pot would call a meeting with the standing committee to make a decision. Now let's go through your answer. With certain problems, Pol Pot was able to solve them, and he would do so immediately. How do you know? Based on what actual knowledge, experience, can you say that?
In relation to the telegrams, I encountered the circumstance when he responded to it immediately. For example, when there was an emergent request from the battlefield for comments or decision from the upper authority, he, Pol Pot, upon receiving the message, then soon afterwards there was a responding message sent back. That's what I had come across. But as for complicated matters, he would not respond immediately. He, as I said, he may have called the meeting to reach a decision. That's why I have suggested to the court that wherever I used any word that suggested the presumption of my answer, then it was based on my personal presumption of the fact. So I have already asked the chamber to remove those parts.
Right. And are you suggesting to the trial chamber that they should remove and disregard this part of your statement where you say that he would convene a standing committee meeting to make a decision, particularly in light of the fact that you never participated in any standing committee meetings?
Yes, that's correct. I never attended the meeting of the standing committee myself.
But are you asking the trial chamber to disregard this part of your statement? Because it's a presumption on your part.
Yes, I am.
Thank you. I'm most grateful. If we could look at your next statement, which is E3/67, and this is just another example. Khmer page 00294543-44. French 00374939-40. In English 00483972, or page 10, I believe. Yes, 10. If we look at this document, you're asked a question on paragraph number 19, and it refers to direction of 870. Direction of 870 dated 3 January 1978. And then you begin by saying that you recognize the handwriting. It was Pol Pot, because he had the right to make corrections. Now let me ask you this. Did you actually recognize the handwriting to be Pol Pot's, or did you assume it was Pol Pot because you assumed that he had the right to make corrections?
I have seen Pol Pot's handwriting before, and the correction over there was that of Pol Pot's handwriting.
Okay, thank you. Now you go on to say, in part of your answer, this document may have belonged to Committee 870, coming from a discussion meeting. It was made into minutes, but it is neither known who else had participated, nor had the meeting location been disclosed. But sometimes it was Pol Pot's idea too. He first wrote it and put it to the meeting of Committee 870 for approval. He drew red lines underneath any important points. And then it goes on. Now, I notice that you use the word may. Is this another one of those situations where you are given a document to analyze and you are providing assumptions?
That is correct, because they did not advise me to be cautious of the use of the word presumption or speculation. And at that time, during the interview, I used the word maybe a lot of times because I was not sure.
Thank you. Now, if we go on to back to the statement of E3/67, and I'm referring to Khmer page 00294546-47, 00374941. That was the French. English 00483974. My apologies. Or page 12. That's the starting point. You're shown a document titled Standing Committee Meeting on 9 October 1975. Now, you've already told us that you've never been to any standing committee meetings, but let's look at what you say 2 pages later on page 14 of English. And Khmer, it would end with 48 to 49, French 42 to 43, English 76. According to my own analysis, some did not take and execute the standing committee instructions completely because they used their power as senior. I just saw one last document saying that they had not asked for the comments of the standing committee, but already shot 40 people to death, then reported afterwards. And in some cases, no report was made. Based on this answer, is this analysis based on your personal experience in the field, of which you told us you never went to the base? Or is it based on you reading the document, looking at other documents, and trying to provide answers to the investigators?
I made it clear from the beginning that it was according to my analysis. It was my personal analysis. It was not my personal experience of my visit to the bases. I merely saw the documents presented by the OCIJ to me, and I assisted in analysis.
And when you assisted in analysis, such as in this case, because there was an objection raised earlier this morning by the prosecution, in these sorts of cases where you were providing an analysis, were you not also making presumptions, since you did not have, at least in many of the instances, first-hand knowledge of the events?
Yes, that is correct. Because I read the content of the telegrams through the documents they handed over to me for my explanation.
If I understand your answers in the last 3 days, and in particular today, it would appear that you're telling the trial chamber to be very careful in accepting what is in your statements wherever you are making assumptions or presumptions, conclusions, or analyses. Is that what you're telling the trial chamber?
The President. Witness, please hold on. Mr. Prosecutor, you may proceed.
Your Honours, we object. The question is both a compound question and it is a misleading question. Your Honours instructed earlier and gave a very clear distinction between speculative answers and answers based on experience. In light of those instructions, it is improper to be asking the witness to now advise you how you should assess his evidence. In any event, it is improper to ask a witness such a question. Your Honours are perfectly capable of assessing the evidence that is before you, and we've heard the limits of that evidence, and we've heard clearly the witness specify when he spoke from personal experience and when he was analysing based on that experience, or perhaps making assumptions.
If I may briefly respond, Mr. President, Your Honors, the gentleman over the last 3 or 4 days has been questioned concerning the manner in which the statements were taken, how he read them and signed them at the time, and when presented with certain segments of his statements, had indicated over and over and over again that he made some assumptions, that he speculated, if I can use that word in this context, and that he provided some analyses at times of which he did not have any personal knowledge, but was merely reading the text and trying to provide some sort of an answer. He's also indicated over the past 3 or 4 days that the trial chamber should disregard those portions in his testimony where he says, maybe, perhaps, in my opinion, it's my understanding. I'm merely asking the gentleman, is that based on his answers today, does he wish the trial chamber to be cautious and circumspect in accepting anything that is in his statements?
President, I now hand over to Judge Cartwright. You may proceed, Your Honor.
Thank you, President. The trial chamber upholds the objection by the prosecutor. The judges will take into account the various matters that have been raised during examination of this witness, both in its relating to the evidence in its totality and to specific portions of his evidence. And the judges are quite capable of coming to this conclusion. Thank you, Mr. Carnivas.
I'm most grateful, Judge Cartwright. It was merely a summary wrap-up question. And with that, sir, on behalf of Mr. Ingsari, Mr. Angodam, and I, and the rest of the Ingsari defense team, wish to thank you for coming here to give your evidence. We wish you safe travels and good luck. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Your Honors.
President, there is only a little time left for this afternoon proceeding. We therefore decide to adjourn the proceeding today, and we shall resume it on Wednesday next week starting from 9 a.m. And we will commence the hearing the testimony of TCW 307, who will first be questioned by the prosecution after the initial questions by the bench. We would like to inform that on Monday and Tuesday, that is the 10th and the 11th of September 2012, the Chamber will not hold the hearing, as we needs to deliberate and decide on a number of issues, and some of the judges will attend the Rule and Procedure Committee session. Mr. Nong Sopong, the hearing of your testimony has come to a conclusion today, and you are excused so you can return to your residence. The Chamber is grateful of your testimony. For this number of days, we thank you for your patience and the best effort you have given. As a part of contribution to ascertaining the truth, we wish you all the best and safe journey. Court officer, in coordination with visual unit, please arrange for the witness to return to his residence. As for the reserve witness TCW 307, arrange for his return to his residence and have him returned on the morning of Wednesday, 12 September 2012. Security guards, you are instructed to take the three accused back to the detention facility and have them return to this courtroom on the morning of Wednesday, 12 September 2012, prior to 9 a.m. The court is now adjourned.
សូមចេញក្រោកឈរ